All right, well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for the second session in our three-part virtual back to school series, Career Services, It's Never Too Early to Go. My name is Susan Kleiman, and I am the Manager of Alumni Engagement at NAF. And before I welcome our speakers, just a little bit of housekeeping. Please be sure to mute yourselves when you're not speaking and keep your cameras on if possible, because our speakers would love to see your faces. If you have any questions at any point, please do not hesitate to raise your hand or put them in the chat. And I'll be back at the end of the session with some announcements and our gift card raffle. So without further ado, I'm so pleased to welcome our speakers for today's session. First, we have Kim Plush from Wilmington University. Kim is the Assistant Director of the Office of Career Services at WilmU, as well as an adjunct instructor. She earned a Master of Science degree in Human Resource Management from Wilmington College and later joined Wilmington University in 2015. With an extensive professional background in human resources and higher education, Kim is passionate about guiding students towards a rewarding career path and achieving career goals. In her current role, Kim is committed to providing exceptional service and career development resources to all students and alumni, with a special focus on establishing employer partnerships and career programming. So welcome, Kim. And also a warm welcome to Dr. Candice Rosidi from Rowan College. Dr. Rosidi is the Dean of Internship and Career Planning at Rowan College. She earned her doctorate in higher education leadership and innovation from Wilmington U in 2017. She began her career as an adjunct and transitioned into the role of dean in 2020. Understanding workforce demand and student needs for career opportunities, Candice connects her expansive network of employers with students and alumni of RCSJ. She is driven by preparing students to be future ready now, much like NAF. Career assessment, preparation, and internship opportunities are the three pillars of the Career Design Lab at Rowan College, South Jersey. And I'd like to kick off this conversation by asking, what does the Office of Career Services do? What are some of the services that this office would typically provide on your average college or university campus that can be used to help students achieve success?
Kim, you want to start?
I'll kick it off. Okay, absolutely. So Office of Career Services, it is a free lifetime service at WilmU. And we offer all facets of career development resources. So from soup to nuts, I like to say, you could be coming in as a first-year student and maybe not quite sure about your major. So we'll help you with some career assessments, some career guidance, definitely resume preparation and really understanding how to put your accomplishments on the resume. And we help you through each year of that. We help with any kind of career events, connecting you with employers, internships, positions and jobs on campus, so on-campus work, and then also when you're looking for that next step when you graduate. What is your career journey? What is your career path going to be? We give you job search strategies, and we connect you with employers, and we have virtual information sessions. So it's really all career development resources, and we're always open, and we're always there to help the students along their path.
Yeah, so at Rowan College, South Jersey, we mirror much of what Kim was just saying at Wilmington University. It's extensive from that first student who's not sure what they want to do to getting them an internship or a job in the field that they're planning to graduate in, so that the top line of their resume that we help them build shows that they have some experience, right? You've worked in an internship thinking you want to work in accounting, get you an accounting position, you find out you love it or you don't. And, now you're graduating or changing majors before you continue on in the wrong pathway, right? So there's a lot of things that career services can do to make sure that you're on the right path. And that's really the goal underneath the foundation of why career services exists is because you're a student who is paying to come to a college because you want to get a job one day. And we want to make sure that you're on the right pathway, you're in the right major, you have all the tools you need, and that you're able to brand yourself and sell yourself to employers that are looking to hire you. And how are you going to do that? There's so many different things that Kim listed that are going to be brand new to you. And you have people that are with you every step of the way, that want to partner with you, see you reach your personal goals that are unique to you, and put you in a position so that when you graduate, right, you have this degree that you took the time and committed to and spent all that money. And now your reward is coming. Your return on investment is right after that, because we've partnered with you to bring you through the whole process.
And it's definitely a journey. It's definitely, we're not here to help you find one job and we're done. It's definitely a career journey.
Yep.
Every
So,
step of the way.
Tatiana, am I saying your name right? Is your graphic picture like an emoji, or are you a graphic artist? Did you make that yourself?
Yes, you pronounced my name correctly. No, this isn't my art. This is a profile picture maker I found online.
It's a profile picture. It looks very, very cool. A lot of times our graphic art students, we find that they make their own. And I just paid somebody to do one of mine. It was one of our graphic art students, but it's very, very cool. So just wanted to call that out and say hello. And Stanley, hello, you're on screen. And I can see, hi, oh, I can't see what your name was. It says connecting to audio.
Oh, yes, it's Rubea. She's just come on.
Okay.
And we have Pascal in here and Rajan. So we have a nice group coming. And I'll actually ask, why is it important to make full use of or take advantage of these resources during your entire higher education career and not just when you're about to graduate?
I'll kick off again. We're doing our tag team.
Yes.
That's a great question. Although I know we have students that come into our office a week before they graduate, we definitely want you to come early. Stanley's smiling, see, he knows. Come early, come often, and even after you graduate, come back, definitely. But you're really setting the stage for a successful career if you come and tap into our career services resources, throughout your undergrad journey, but even when you graduate, continue to come back. If you're looking for guidance for a master's program or a doctoral program, or even just a certificate, if you're upskilling, you may be reskilling, come back. Career services is important because it's throughout your career journey. Your resume, your first year is going to look so much differently than your resume when you graduate. And after your first 2 or 3 years in the workforce, it's going to also look different. So it's really not just a one and done. I always like to say, keep coming back. You should kind of refresh every couple of years and keep coming back and check in with career services along your way. One of the most important parts of the journey is networking. And I know we're going to get into that a little bit. But this is your first taste of networking, coming to career services, talking to us. You're making that connection. And it should be a connection that continues even after you graduate.
Yeah, so I definitely agree that the sooner you meet with us and we know you and the career path that you're on, the opportunities that we see in the employer world, we're going to be able to bring to you as soon as we're finding them out, right? And so an internship is a program, that you're working, they're paying you, but they're mentoring you. And it's usually like in a 3-credit course. But we have internship opportunities that extend beyond that. So the earlier you come, excuse me, if you get that internship maybe in the first year, because we did your resume, right when you got here, maybe they hire you part-time and you just continue. And now you have a good part-time job that's aligned with your major. And it's all because you took the opportunity to see us right at the beginning. And as Kim was saying, we can definitely help you right before you graduate. But after you leave, if you go to the 4-year school or you start working and you don't come back, you may have missed out on so many competitive advantages because the four-year schools have thousands, and this is nothing against Wilmue, they have thousands and thousands of students, and it's harder to compete, right, for those positions. So I tell my students, you know, come early, because we're going to help you get that internship, get that part-time job, get your resume ready, and start building that in year one as a freshman. And then when you get to be a junior and you transfer and go somewhere else, you have all of this packed with you along. The same would be for the four-year school. The sooner you get there, and those upper level internships that are now available, there you're competing better, because you were the student that as a freshman you got an internship, and a sophomore, and now there's really big jobs when you're a junior and senior. There's a lot of different networking events and places that you can go to start meeting employers that are going to put you in line for the next step of your future. And when your resume has been building for 4 years, they're going to see that consistency, and they're going to say, wow, this person walked in as a freshman and they've got it together on day one, and they just keep building and building and building. That's one of the things that employers really like to see, is that motivation and that next step and forward thinking that students are taking right in the beginning of their academic career at college.
Great advice. I completely agree. We're on the same page, certainly. You know, I also say students are learning the strategies for their career journey in their undergrad experience, in their internship experience. You're learning those presentation skills. You're learning about research. You know, you're learning how to handle yourself in a meeting. You know, even if it is virtual, you're still doing those things. So that really prepares you once you do graduate. So.
Yep. And it's very much, it's more of a risk-free learning opportunity. We always try to tell students too, you know, and there's a lot of non-traditional students, but for the traditional age student that's coming in as a freshman, either at a 2-year or a 4-year school, when you're learning how to do this and you don't get the first job that you applied for or the internship, there's so much time for recovery, and you don't have a house yet, or like a car payment, or, you know, a lot of those big life things. And so when you have time to practice and recover, and you're doing that while, you know, maybe you're still at home, but you're still in school, you know, and you're just in that transitional period, there's a lot of learning opportunity that goes on, so that when you do graduate, you know, and you're getting your own apartment, you're starting to do your own thing, you already have put yourself in a professional development process. And now you are much more prepared, right, to go for that big job and sit for, you know, a really critical type of interview.
And I really wish I would have had this type of advice. You know, I was in college, you know, 20 years ago, and there was no emphasis on really going to career services, or at least for me, thinking about your path. My advisor left in the middle of my college experience. I didn't know what to do. So, you know, this is all such great advice, and I wish I would have had some of it, you know, going through my college experience. So thank you for that. And something else I would have really liked to know, and had honestly no clue about at the time, was how does the Office of Career Services actually help students find internships? And at what point can students even begin to apply? In freshman year, do they have to wait? How does it work?
So I'll kick this one off. I actually started out as an intern. And because of that, it's so fun when I think about the fact that now I manage and direct an internship program, because it was really, really meaningful for me. And so I was just so thankful that I was able to have an opportunity that helped me kind of decide which direction I was going to go in. At the 2-year school, you have to have at least 24 credits in order to apply for an internship. And the reason for that is because you haven't had any classes yet, right? So if you want to be in accounting, we want you to take accounting 1 and 2. If you want to be in marketing, we want you to have taken intro to marketing in your first semester, you know, with all your other classes. But then in your second semester, you're probably going to take like social media or advertising, you know, something that kind of gives you a little bit of an idea of what the expectation is going to be, right? Because we all have thoughts about what career directions are and what certain descriptions mean. But the whole goal of an internship is to give you exposure so that you know what it's like to actually carry out the day-to-day work of someone who's in marketing, right? Because people think billboards, or they think TV, or they think print marketing, or they think social media. There's so many different directions it can go. And so we have the internship program just to give you the opportunity to figure out inside of this major which direction you want to go. I was also mentioning that it'll help you figure out that you have a transferable skill. And what I mean by that is you want to be an engineer, and you get in the major and you go for an internship and you're taking classes and you realize how much math it is, how much field work it isn't. It's a lot of desk work. And a lot of engineers think they're going to be out there with the pipes, or out there with the land, out there with the buildings. That's not what engineers do. They do drafting and paperwork and calculations. And so then you realize from the internship, I do not want to do this. So, you know, you've learned that because you came to us early, and then we put you into a career assessment and figure out from the classes you've taken, your original plans, and the fact that you are good at math, that working in accounting has a different opportunity, but a very similar skill set, right? So you're still using analysis, you're still using math, you're still using those skills that you have, but you're doing it in a different environment, right? And so students learn that very, very quickly when they take an internship, that they're on the right path, or not that they're on the wrong one, but that they want to switch or do something different, because the skill set in them could be answered by so many different positions. It's just identifying what they are. And every single person is unique. Every single person has a different goal, has a different opportunity. And, you know, the internship program is really there to help you figure out what's going to be best for you now, and to help you project what your future is going to be like.
And at WilmU, we've just started actually requiring an internship as part of the curriculum for each of the colleges, which I think is great. We've always had a very robust one for College of Business, as you mentioned, specifically accounting for marketing. But now we have that. So, you know, another way to tap in, check with your instructor, with your professor as well, about their individual programs, internships. Some of our colleges have their own internship coordinator that works with our main work integrated learning office. You know, our students from a four-year college, they have to have 60 credits. So 60, that's a lot of credits before you actually have an internship, but that doesn't mean you can't go after and have one. You know, just because you can't take advantage of the free elective and the 3-credit class, you can still have a side internship if it's a paid position, and we're able to help students kind of transfer that into, hey, that can actually be an internship. Maybe we can, once you get to the 60 credits, if you're still at this job after a year, you know, we can create that, and that can also be a free credit. And that's a class that, you know, you don't have to go to you know, school. You're actually, you know, it's the real world experience just doing it. So there's ways to translate that. You can still have an internship earlier on without being for the, you know, actual 3-credit elective class.
Yep. And we have a requirement in a couple of our areas too, not all of them, but predominantly business. You know, our marketing and accounting, our IT students, they're all going to be required to do an internship. So we have a good partnership base with a lot of employers that are ready to work with students. So it does have to be matched to their major. We do require that our employer partners, we screen them first to make sure that they're going to mentor our students. So that's one of the other things that, you know, we share with students when they come in, and part of that preparation, the interview and resume prep that Kim was mentioning, is also, you know, when you get out there on the job, you have to know how to communicate, and you have to be confident, and you have to be like willing to learn, but the employers have to be willing to understand that, you know, you've had 24 or 60 credits, maybe you've not worked in this before, you're timid, maybe a little shy, but you're motivated and willing, you know, and there's a good balance when someone from an employer partnership comes in and says, I'm going to work with you, I'm going to give you projects, I'm going to check in, I'm going to make sure that everything you think, you're learning and doing is on the right path. And sometimes when you work in the real world, you don't get that. You start a job and they're like, here you go. And they just give you, and the training manual is like 2 pages and you're on your own. And, I've had jobs like that before. And I was really thankful though for my internship where, I had people that showed me what those expectations were and showed me, how to sit in a meeting quietly and take notes and just say thank you and keep my eyes open and be prepared. Always come with a pen and a notebook. And some of those simple little things, they just seem so easy. But when you recall back to a time when it was risk-free and it was easier and there was someone who was, really just wanting to see the opportunity for you to grow, that's a really, really great memory to carry with you into your future of professional development, because you'll have learned all of those things where, it's not I don't want to say it's not your real job, but it's not your real job. This is an internship. So it's way more than practice, but it's also not like you're going to get fired, right? If you mess something up, because you're supposed to be learning and growing through the experience.
And many of these organizations and these corporations, they're starting their internship search so much earlier. So I definitely advocate going to career services or your internship office in the fall. I know one of our local employers, CSC, which is it's a global company, but it's based in Delaware. Their summer internship applications kick off in November. So I'm email blasting the specific targeted majors they're looking for. We're getting things going. They have a rising talent program for December grads. So, we're getting that information out. So come early and check, because, for a summer internship, if you'd like to do that, absolutely start early. Or, I think that's the theme of tonight is, the earlier, the better, definitely.
I wanted to add too, we try to share with students that when you have an internship, you usually have a negotiable tool on your resume, because, and it's implied, right? When an employer looks at your resume and they realize that you've had any experience in the field, it's going to take less time for them to train you. So I think the number is over 70% of the time, if you've had an internship relative to a brand new graduate who didn't have one, you're going to get offered the job 70% more often. And that's because when they ask you a question about something that you handled at work that was difficult, right? Because that's always one of those really hard questions. It's great when somebody can refer to dealing with customer service when they've worked in a retail situation. It's very different when it's an office environment, or it's a bank, or it is an organization and they're dealing with, a customer or a client, right? A client is very different than a customer. A client's already paying and there's a relationship there. So in your example is now, something that's more internalized and comes from a place of a larger company that's not retail. And this isn't to put retail down. It's just to show the difference that when you're interviewing and your example is a little more robust, they're going to know that you already understand how to do that, right? And so the likelihood of them selecting you in this really competitive process is a lot greater when you've had some experience. Interns also get offered about $15,000 more in a starting salary. Also because when companies evaluate how quickly they can produce something, they look at how long does it take to train somebody when they come in, right? And so for 6 months, if they have to spend 6 months training you, they're not being productive, right? So they're paying you, but they don't expect you to be productive yet. If you've had an internship, they're going to pay you a little bit more because they expect that you can produce in less than 6 months, right? Sometimes it's 2 to 3 months because you've had experience. And so, the national research shows that students that have applied for a job, they make $15,000 more on average than students that are applying with a degree and they've had no experience except for retail and restaurant. So an internship really is an opportunity to put yourself in the best competitive advantage that you can. So I would like to know, because you should be asking us questions, but I'm going to ask you a question. What are your majors, right? So, and what schools are you at?
And you can just come off mute or put that in
Yeah.
the chat.
Mhm.
Please share.
Hi, my name is Pascaline, and my major is international business with a minor in marketing and actually with a minor in finance and psychology. And my school is Baruch College.
What college is it?
Baruch College in the city.
Oh, very, very cool. And then we've got somebody in computer science at Wayne State University. And who else? Stanley, what's yours?
Yes, I'm in food at Gulf Coast University with a major in business management. I'm a freshman.
Okay, very good.
You're a freshman. You're going to go tomorrow to your career services office, aren't you? Yes.
Mhm. Yep. So I'll tell you one quick story. There was a student named Anthony, and he came to me in his first year and he didn't have enough credits, but we did his resume. He came to me in his second year, applied for an internship, and it didn't work out. They were going to take him on, but then they didn't have enough money, but then he was going to work for free, but all of our interns get paid, so we couldn't allow that. And it was all this crazy. And he came back though in the summer and said, let me just check in and see what else you have. And then eventually we ended up getting him an internship. And he ended up working with a guy named Ray Mamrak, and you wouldn't know him, except that he was a script doctor for the Transformer movies and for Boardwalk Empire. And Jennifer Garner called his phone while I was sitting there. Like, he was a high profile celebrity guy. And this student just consistently showed up. And I met him through some kind of crazy networking thing. But, you know, he ended up going to NYU. He worked for me for a little while. Like, I ended up hiring him after he was done his internship because he was really, really good at video, and I wanted some new stuff for my website and all these things. So he ended up, you know, just consistently showing up, and he got a couple of different jobs, got this fabulous like film scouting experience, and then ended up going to NYU and starting his career. And that doesn't happen all the time, but statistically 40% of our students at a very, I won't say very, at a relatively small school in rural South Jersey, 40% of the time students end up with a job, right, after they do an internship. And that's a really high number. A lot of students are offered, our offer rate is almost 70, but students are transferring, or they don't want to give up their full-time position, or they're carrying a lot of credits. You know, they have all kinds of reasons why they don't accept the job, but our employers offer all the time. You know, so if you're looking for that kind of opportunity, you can do it now. And you do want to start as early as you can, because those stories are really, really extensive where students go.
Candace, we actually had a question when people were registering, and someone asked, how do you make yourself stand out for competitive internships?
Mhm. So it's the resume, and I would tell you not to use Microsoft Word. There's a company called, I'm going to put it in the chat. It's called Hiration, Hiration. If you just Google Hiration, it's a template that is artificial intelligence reviewed, right? So you type everything in and you can't spell anything wrong. All the bullets line up, everything that's supposed to be bolded and underlined, it's all done perfectly. And then the other big thing about standing out is that whatever job you're applying for, if you don't use the exact terms in the job description in your resume, it automatically gets deleted. And that's an algorithm that's online. So what this, the resume platform will do is it allows you to copy the job description that you get online from LinkedIn or wherever on the internet and put it into the page next to your resume, and it will highlight the words that are in the job description that match your words, or it'll tell you where they don't match, so that you know, A, this is not the job that you're qualified for, or B, you need to take this 5-word sentence and like condense it into this 1-word descriptor that's in the job description, because no one reads your resume and says, oh, that's not going to work. Oh, they're not going to fit in here. Oh, they're not qualified. There's no human behind it anymore doing that, right? It's the internet. So you have to figure out how to play the game, and not everybody knows that. So if you use that tool, and it's free to do it like once or twice. So build a really good resume the first time, save it and upload it to your LinkedIn, and then just start using that job description tool, and it'll really help you get a little farther. And it'll also be impressive if you walk it into an employer, because they're going to see all those words, you know, that they know are in the job, you know, when you do get the interview.
And just to piggyback on that as well, customize your summary statement for the job that you're applying for. So, you know, after you use Hiration and you do this and you have that, you know, the skills match, the words match, pulling that out, the actual summary statement can be the one. You don't want to have to redo your resume every single time. You know, if you're applying for an accounting position, you're going to have a lot of the similar phrases, what have you. But customize that summary statement for the actual job in the company that you're applying for. So that's always a way to, you know, to stand out a bit as well, to pull in some research from that specific company, because that's an easy change each time, as opposed to changing, you know, everything else on the resume.
Yep.
Definitely. This is outstanding advice. And just a reminder for people on the call that we will delve into this more next week in our tips and tricks for landing a top internship session. But this was really, really excellent. And I just wanted to transition. I just spoke about next week. Last week's session was all about on-campus resources, which included the Office of Career Service. But I'm wondering about the importance of tapping into other offices on campus, as well as networking, which you also touched on earlier in the session. So why is it important not just to go to career services, but other offices and resources?
Great question. I will kick it off just saying that if you are an undergrad, which, you know, we have the undergrad students here, definitely tap into your student life department. And the reason I say that, it's twofold. One, you get to meet other students. I mean, this is also part, everything is networking, but social networking is fun as well. So tons of clubs. I know at WilMU, for an example, our Student Government Association is very popular. And, you know, that is a force to be reckoned with. And every single president of the Student Government Association for the past few years has been the keynote speaker at the graduation, has been a student representative at faculty meetings, has really taken that step. So I would say join a club, and you don't have to be president right away, but you want to build those leadership skills to put on your resume so you can get the internship, so you can get that job. That's something else you can talk about in an interview, but it also builds your confidence. You know, that's part of a competency that you want to build and have, you know, when you graduate and when you go into your career field. So I would say, you know, join a club. And if there's not a club there, create one. We had a chess club created because a student came in a couple of years ago, loved chess. I walked her down the hall. I said, talk to our director of student life. She started a chess club, you know, and we crafted that and we put that into her resume. And, you know, those kind of things show that leadership, you know, but try and, you know, tap into a couple of those clubs, I would definitely say, for an undergrad. And at least at WilMU, and this may be at student life in other schools, there's typically a young professionals network or a young professionals club. At WilMU, it's actually housed under our alumni office. So even though you're not an alumni yet, go to the alumni office, walk in, say, hey, I'm a sophomore, I'm a junior. Do you have a young professionals network? Because that is a great way to network. That's also a great way to tap into employer connections. And, you know, employers and alum, we have two, you know, both of us are alum from WilMU, we just found out. So, you know, it's always 1 degree of separation, I like to say, in Delaware, but certainly, you know, that's a great way to connect with other alumni, other students, but really other leaders in the field that graduated from the same place you did. So I would say alumni office and student life for club.
Mhm. There was a question in the chat. If a college writing center could help with resume, and it was timed perfectly because you were just asking like what other resources are available on campus. And there are college writing centers, there are tutorial services, there's the library, all of those places are there for the distinct reasons, right? Like research and tutoring and those kind of things, but they also have so many other resources that people usually don't know about. So you want to make sure that you reach out and connect with those and see what those services and opportunities are. But definitely the Writing Center is going to take a look at your resume. They're going to craft and they're going to give you, just that opportunity to sit down with someone before you submit it or send it to an employer.
So last formal question, I was wondering, as students look towards their post-collegiate lives and careers, what is your greatest piece of advice when it comes to career services? Is it just to go early and often? Is there something more you want to share?
Sure, I'll kick it off. Early and often. Yes. Yes. I saw Stanley smile the first time I said that. So I'm going to say it again. Early and often. Yes, we can help you every step of the way. I like to say that you should make a career commitment to yourself. We make commitments all the time to our family, to volunteer organizations, to our schoolwork. But, when you're at that point, make a career commitment to yourself. Reach out, once you graduate, it's important for you to join a professional organization. I think that's the best way to network. I will say my own experience when I earned my master's from Wilmington years ago, it was in human resources. I had just moved to Delaware, just gotten married. I didn't know anybody. So I joined the local, state chapter of SHRM, went to a meeting, sat next to a lady, struck up a conversation, and she worked at PNC Bank. She was a VP. Hired me, not on the spot. I had to go through the interview process, but she said, I have a recruiter position, haven't even posted it. I'm so glad you came to our meeting. So, that connection, and I ended up working there almost 12 years. So it really was a great connection, and I contributed by continuing being a part of SHRM for years at that point. And so I would definitely emphasize joining a professional organization, and career services can help you and connect you with those local chapters in your area, even if you're an online student, because certainly we have those resources as well. Definitely attend alumni events. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I encourage that even before you graduate, but when you graduate, absolutely start attending. Typically schools will have meetups in a city that you're by, meetups online, in person. There's always an alumni page. That is the way to tap in and to really expand your network at that point from when you graduate.
I'm going to echo a lot of that, and really it is the connections that you want to make before you leave in a way that you can continue to manage them, right? And so most of that is going to be on LinkedIn, and I'm not sure if you have profiles or if you've ever used it, but I would tell you that I think it's 700 million jobs get landed through the power of LinkedIn. And there's nothing else that has that many connections or direct placements than LinkedIn. And so everybody in your career services office is probably on there. Everybody at your college is probably on there. So before you leave, you want to connect with all of those people. But as Kim was saying, come early, come often. You want to make sure they know who you are, right? Because we don't accept connections from everyone everywhere. But if we see that you're a student at our school, we're probably going to. But if we know you, I have my own LinkedIn community board. So every time a student gets an internship, takes my branding class, if I teach intro to business, I invite all of them to join LinkedIn, put them in that community board. And then when employers are asking, do I have anybody, that could work part-time, full-time, I just post it in that and they're automatically connected. So that would be my best piece of advice, is to make sure that you know who's around you and how to connect with them. And the best way to do that is LinkedIn.
And remember, you can always keep coming back to career services as an alum. So tap into those resources as you need it throughout your career journey as well. It's not a one and done when you walk across that stage. So certainly remember that we're always there to help along the path.
And Stanley, you had a question about other documents that their companies are looking for. So when it's an internship, if you have a really great paper that you wrote, or if it's graphic arts, you're going to have something like a portfolio to bring to them. But if you have any kind of work that you've done in a class or project that you can showcase, you know, the abilities that you have, you can definitely bring that with you to an interview, or send it as a follow-up after the fact, right? If there was a particular question that they asked you about a skill or ability, something that you could do, you could always send that to them as part of the thank you. And everybody knows that, right? When you are done an interview, internship, real job, whatever it is, you always send a thank you email. And that will remind the person at the end of the day to think about you, you know, and just to show that you're a grateful person. Everybody always appreciates that.
Does anyone else have any questions? You can come off mute or put it in the chat. Think about it. I'm going to ask, what is the secret to a great LinkedIn profile page? Because I'll look and I'll see pages without pictures. I'll see, you know, some job history from 5 years ago and it's not updated. So what should your LinkedIn page look like?
It has to have everything. And it really needs to be up to date. But other than putting those things out there, right? You want the bright picture, you want the background that says something. There's now a little button on LinkedIn when you see the round circle that is just your profile picture, that you can add a 30-second video. And that is your elevator pitch, right? So anybody who connects with you or is looking for you because they saw your resume or met you somewhere, they're gonna listen to that little button. And that is your opportunity to tell the world who you are and what you have to offer in 30 seconds. And I look at that every single time I connect with someone. I want to hear how they talk, how they position themselves, and what they have to say. So that's definitely one of the most underused things that you can do to make you stand out on your LinkedIn profile.
And put that link on your resume as well. You know, we always, you know, we always have the issue about photos on resumes. And so the easiest way to avoid that, just put that LinkedIn link right on there and the employer.
And I always like to remind people, put your NAF Academy experience on your resume. Employers will see that. Any other questions? Or any closing thoughts from our speakers? Things we didn't touch on.
Well, I just want to say thank you for all of this information. It's really helpful. And I guess I'm gonna try my best to use them. Because we have a lot of resources in NFGCU as well. But I just haven't yet get into them. Yesterday I went to the career services and they helped me so much with my resume as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the first step. See, now they know your face. They know Stanley. They expect you to come stop in every couple months and check in with them. Absolutely. Good. It's good to hear.
And I just put my full name there in the chat. So look me up on LinkedIn and just, you know, connect. And then in the little message, because you can write a little message when you connect with somebody, just reference the NAF Academy, you know, and then I'll know who you are.
Yes, I put both of your LinkedIn profiles in the chat. I'm going to put them in again.
Thanks, Susan.
I was just answering the other question in the chat too, if there's different tips and internships for a different state. I don't think so. I think it's pretty standard across the board that you want to, you know, be competitive, have that crisp, polished resume, and be as prepared as you can with lots of practice for an interview.
Yeah. And I don't know what the rules may be for applying for a job or internship internationally. So that's something else.
That's a visit to the International Affairs Office.
That's right.
Those regulations have to be
Right, talk to them about working abroad or studying abroad, which is a fantastic experience that I recommend to anyone if you have the time and ability. But I want to thank you both so much. This was a really informative session, and I know everyone on this call is walking away with information that they didn't have before. So thank you, Kim and Candace, for being here today. Stick with me. I'm going to end the recording here and send it out tomorrow, and then give a few announcements.